Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is another Cumbrian church. This is a church of St James, Ormside. It has its origins in, well, the current building has origins in the 11th century, that is just after the Norman conquest. But it's almost certain there was a building here before the Normans, but a simple wooden structure rather than the current stone building. It's a church that has features from various eras, notably a 13th century west tower, the chancel being extended in the 13th century, there's a 12th century arcade, and so on. So let's have a look around and we'll see what there is to see. And so first of all, as usual, we start at the west end. And here there is the font. This is Norman, 12th century, maybe earlier, but a very solid piece. And we've got here this Norman arcade. The aisle has been later demolished and replaced with a later chapel. Furnishings here are largely 19th century, but they're quite good and quite conservative, shall we say. That's the word, conservative. And we've got the plaster still on the walls, which is where the plaster belongs. This is the Hilton Chapel. The Hilton Chapel is built in the late 15th, maybe early 16th century. The stone there, the Hilton arms, that's actually brought here later. You can see the date on it, 1723. It probably comes from an old manor house that the Hiltons owned that was demolished. And so the manor house is demolished, and they bring the stone here as part of the memorial. Ormside is a little building. You can see here how the wall of the chapel somewhat impinges on that 12th century arcade, and very simple scalloped capitals. Again, oh yes, radiator, very important. Modern electric organ, and why not? So, here we have Hilton Church. The pews are quite nice. Again, they're not very old, but they look quite comfy. They've got nice big seats. One of the great problems with Victorian pews, they tended to just have a little shelf. The idea was you can be uncomfortable. There's a piscina here in the nave. Now, although the guidebook says, well, maybe this was the original chancel, it's more likely it's a nave chapel. But it's a very simple piscina. Nice carved pulpit again, 19th century. We have the War Memorial. That's the War Memorial from the First World War. And this is the Second World War. Nice little carved, and there's only two men in the Second World War. Vestry door, quite nice. This is probably the original piscina because this part of the wall is very thick, and it suggests that the chancel's been extended eastwards, as was often done. This is a hagioscope. Now, these are often, and this one's referred to the leper's squint. Whether it actually was or not doesn't matter entirely. It allowed people, probably outside, to see the altar, but if there was a vestry there, it would allow a priest saying mass in private to see the high altar. Here we have the later piscina, this little conical thing, rather nice, and Aumbry, and some more Aumbrys. And long way, well, not very long way west, because it's that little chapel. Nice roofs here, they are medieval. You can see here the chancel roof, and here these are 18th century communion rails. So that's rather fun. Now, the west tower here was intended to be defensive, and so the tower originally had a door, you can see it up there, a high door, and you'd have a ladder to climb up into it. Obviously today they've got this door down here. This is the original door from the Norman church. So that's inside here. Very simple building, very, let's say, largely Norman, with a few later additions. So we go outside now. It is, I suspect, raining, so it'll be a bit damp out there, but never mind. And so here we are outside here at Ormside. You can see behind me the tower. Originally the tower would have had a battlemented top. You can just about see up there the remains of that, but what they've done is they've given it a pitch roof instead, what's called saddleback roof. As I say, this was the burial place of the Hiltons. We saw the chapel, and their house, Ormside Hall, is next to the church. Very common, of course, as we've seen in other videos, the manor house and the church nearby. That tower, you can see how massive it is. That is 13th century. It's settled a bit. It has some problems, but it's been there since the 13th century. It's been patched up, and it's been patched up again recently. So let's have a look on the outside before I freeze. And so here we are outside again. You see the solid memorials. You can see there the door. We'll have a closer look at the doorway. And down there, that is Ormside Hall, and the taller bit, the three-storey bit, that's a peel tower. That's a 14th century fortified tower, but again it's been slightly reduced in height, and it's been given a pitch roof rather than the original battlements, being made a bit more domestic. So we'll wander around the outside. It has been raining quite a lot here overnight, and there's a lot of flooding, and you'll see down there the floods have lifted up their voice. The priest's door, the doorway is 16th century. You can see there with its OG top. And we go round the church. It's a nice 16th century window there. And we go round the church. And, golly yes, floods. You can see there's the Hilton Chapel sticking out. There's the vestry. There's evidence there would have been a medieval vestry, so I suspect that hagioscope would be to do with the vestry and a side chapel, side altar, and not. The leper squint thing is probably overstated. Yes, leprosy was a thing, but not that much of a thing. You can see there again the tower, and right at the top, just the corbels for the battlements. The tower has a big crack in the side, as you can see. It's obviously been reinforced somewhat with these whacking great buttresses, which is very important. And there certainly was a Roman presence here, probably a little Roman fortlet. As we go around, we shall see in the porch the evidence for the Romans in Ormside. Oil tank, very important, heating. And there's the hall again. You can see how close the hall is to the church. So we go back into the porch rather. The porch has been added on. It's rather rustic, isn't it? I like it. And here we have part of so this is Roman, probably part of a Roman altar, which suggests that the Romans were worshipping their gods here at one point. Doorway is very modern, because this is the original doorway. Plain tympanum, very Norman. There's the remains of someone's grave slab there. So that is the outside here at Ormside. The outside at Ormside. And so that's Ormside Church. Long, well, actually it's not so long, but it's an ancient church set upon a hill. And so quite a lot around here are set on a hill, a mound by the manor house. Still here, still used, and still a witness at least to the worship of Christ here at Ormside. Well, thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until